Tales from Gory Point Part 1 The Whore. I was the librarian in a town called Glory Point for a long time. It's not a town you could find on a map. Not anymore. I'm the only thing that's left and I need to get some of this stuff out of my head. You all won't believe what happened if I start off with how my town went to hell. So I'll start off with her story first. I'll start with the whore. I first learned about her from a campfire story that my brother told me and my friends. He was such a fan of the town's tall tales, legends, and ghosts. It's what made me take up the job of librarian in the first place. When the only thing that made me feel close to him was being around all that town history. I'll try to honor him by transcribing the story as faithfully as my memory will allow. Around here there are many old stories meant to teach moral lessons. One of my favorites was an old story to scare married young men in town. The kind who had shotgun weddings that didn't quite put down the lustful beast of their youth. It went like this, I believe. If a man were to sleep with another woman in the first year after his vows, he'd see the whore. Who's the whore, you ask? Well, stories vary. Some say she's the ghost of one of old King Solomon's wives. Some say she's one of the devil's own concubines. My personal favorite is that she's Wilma Winters. In the town's founding, it was still a Puritan spot. One that was pure in the town square, but quite the opposite behind barn doors. That's where old Wilma Winters came in. She was apparently the favorite of all of the town's council, which included all of the church leadership, even the witchfinder general himself. Some say she grew tired of her sordid reputation and set herself ablaze, but I think given the time period it was a punishment. The modern telling was that she was accused of being a witch by one or all of the wives of her lovers. It was said in her funeral pyre she made a deal with the devil himself to haunt the town's adulterers and lead more into hell to take revenge on the descendants of those who burned her. Hence the whore was born. Here's how she operates. I'll give you her most famous story. The year is 1954, almost 200 years since the whore was burned. A young Dale Grimm just married some debutante. You see, despite vowing before friend, family, and Heavenly Father, he didn't even last a week before sleeping with his wife's sister. In comes the whore. The first day, Dale only smelled a lovely perfume with the faint scent of burnt skin. The second day he only saw shadows. A slender woman's shape was always just out of direct sight. The smell grew stronger then. The third day he saw her eyes peeking up at him with hot lust and cold hate from behind every crack in a door, small storm drain, or under his bed. Dale knew the legend. He knew he'd be haunted for as long as he kept his wedding vows. That meant he had only 4 more days, you see. Poor guy sealed his short sentence, and he didn't even particularly enjoy the act. By the 4th day he felt her finger slide slowly down his spine randomly throughout the day. It was the slow caress of a lover. He also felt her hot, frantic breath at his neck as if she were right behind him. The 5th day Dale woke up with full, deep furrows of skin ripped from his back. She'd clawed his so deep he needed medical attention. The bone was exposed and everything. On the 6th day he woke up and couldn't move, only stare at her smiling face. She apparently has a smile in the same way a snarling ape has a smile. It was all animalistic and hungry. He had to watch as she slowly, gingerly brought his right hand up to her mouth. She made a whole production of gingerly opening, pulling up his ring finger right to her lips. She licked the gold band then and gave him a sweet smile right before she bit the finger off. Poor bastard couldn't move, but he could sure feel. She was gone then. On the 7th day he didn't see her until 8:45 p.m. Some versions of the legend say that's when Wilma Winters was burned and made her deal with Satan, but I prefer the legend that she kills you at the time you broke your vows. More poetic that way, I suppose. On that night, well, we don't quite know. We only have some leaked coroner notes. He had the removed ringer with the golden band shoved so far up his ass it pierced his lower intestine. It's thought that he was still alive for a while after she did that. Didn't quite let him bleed out in time for what happened next. The report said his pelvis and the equipment he used to commit his sin looked a lead ball had been slammed up and down on it until his hip bones were mostly powder and the flesh looked like the leavings a butcher throws out. Up and down, up and down. The whore lived up to her name. Anyway, The marriage rate here has never been lower. Those who do get hitched tend to have long, loyal marriages. However, wherever a man's lust overrides his duty, the whore is there, ready to send you to hell with one more act of adultery. Keep to your vows here, and keep to being one flesh with your wife. Lest you want to give your flesh to Wilma Winters, the whore of Glory's Point. That was the start of my obsession with the town. All the horror and blood-stained history began with her. In a way, I made my own vow that day. A vow to find her and all the things like her in Glory Point. I kept my vows, and for that fidelity, I am more damned than poor Dale ever was. You'll know in time.